Hi folks, we got next case study here. Customer asked me to take a look at their vehicle. I believe that they believe that there's a head gasket issue, and asked if I can, just come and assess the vehicle for them and see what is going on. Is basically, I think this is the CY version of the Mitsubishi Lancer. So we're gonna do some quick checks before we go in. To diagnosing this car. I'm not right, so we're checking the oil, the quality of the oil. It's not that bad. I'm not seeing no signs of coolant or even water in it. Probably feel it. Let's see how it is. They feel like oil, so which is a good sign so far. Right. Let's see what else I see here. Sorry about that. So let's check on the cap to see if the oil mixing. So far I'm not seeing any signs of coolant or oil mixing. Right, the coolant is topped up. Let's see. Alright, so basically this is feeling like coolant. So next step is to see if we could get this car started, and we'll watch to see if we get any compression in the coolant system, which will indicate head gasket issues, anything like that nature. Right, so as I said, the customer just asked me for a second opinion concerning their vehicle. I believe they went to other garages and they, thinking that they're getting scammed, so they asked me if I could take a look at it. Right, so like always, anytime you come to check a car, you gotta pull out your drum pack because the battery is always dead. Right, so the vehicle, let's see what to start. Yeah, this vehicle was by our next garage, and they said that this person have head gasket issues. We need to rebuild the engine and replace it. And as I said, I'm not sure what's going on with this vehicle, but it don't look like it's head gasket issue so far. As I said, I could be wrong, but so far I'm not seeing anything with head gasket. Yeah, so I was trying to locate the fuse. I wasn't able to locate the fuse to the pump, so I just came in back here, and I'm gonna disconnect the fuel pump. Right, so just make sure the fuel pump is out. I'm gonna do a compression test on this engine and see where the compression is leaking on this vehicle. I'm gonna do a relative compression test. Alright, to see if I can narrow down where the take off everything. Alright fellas, so I had to switch the battery out because that battery was completely dead. Right, so I got another battery where I'm gonna try to do the relative compression test to see what symptoms I'm getting on this vehicle. Right, so let's use the eye tester. This is some Dytex eye tester. Right, so I'm going to set it up real quick. Right, so we have basically good compression. 188. Hold on, let's see. This glare is horrible. Got 188, 89, and 90. Right, so this vehicle has good compression. But I'm gonna do one with my scope to see if I'm seeing where the compression is losing in this vehicle. Alright guys, so I believe I have all my stuff set up. I have my pulse sensor, my radiator. I got my E-cup on my cylinder number 1 coil, and I have my arm clamp hooked up to battery negative. Right, so I got some additional information. The client said that they saw white smoke coming out their tailpipe, and they took the vehicle to get serviced. So the service bay changed the oil and the oil filter, and they changed the coolant also. That could explain why the coolant and the oil was in that condition. They also said that they've been to various um, shops and they asked me to take a look at it. So I'm gonna set up my scope here to take some capture, some readings. Trying to do this real quick because the rain is coming. Right, so as I said, I have my E-cup hooked up to my number one cylinder, got my pulse sensor hooked up to my radiator, and I have my M clamp hooked up, my high end clamp hooked up to my battery negative. Yeah, so the blue trace is the relative compression test. That's on the high end clamp on the battery. The red is the number one coil every time it fires, and the green is the pulse sensor that's hooked onto the radiator, right? So anytime number one fires, right, you just find out is 1, 3, 4, 2, right? So that's one, right? The next little small hit you see is 3, 4, 2, 1, right? So we're looking, that's our 4 cycles within this 4 cylinder. So what I'm looking at is to see if I'm seeing any kind of low compression on the blue or low spike on the blue waveform. And if I'm seeing a low spike on the blue waveform, I have to see where it's going. So since I'm hooked on to the radiator, right, or the coolant pad, I would have saw like a large spike, right, on the green waveform, but I'm not seeing it at all. So basically, this vehicle has no compression issue or head gasket issue from what I'm seeing, right? From what it looks like, this engine doesn't have a compression issue where it's losing compression also going into the coolant passageway. So I'm just going to inform the client that they are good, but we still have to deal with that excess smoke. Pull the coil packs out, and I'm going to remove the spark plugs and see if I see any sign of coolant in especially number 2, 3, and 4 cylinder. What I did is pressure up the radiator. I'm sticking the borescope since I have the spark plugs out down in the hole to see if I see any coolant, right? I'm not seeing anything that indicating that there is a head gasket issue, as we would have been getting a misfire also. And the scene is swollen, so it's telling me that the water pump is working. Okay. So I believe that this is the valve stem, the valve seals have to change and causing the oil to go into the combustion chamber. Rev the engine, please. Just like what I was doing. No problem. So I wasn't able to record the teardown, right? So I just got some pics, right? As you can see, the plugs is very oily, right? I'm shocked they was even firing, right? Basically, this is lack of maintenance, man. As you can tell by the picture, everything is just slush, dark, and we turn this engine down, and we are seeing like a lot of slush. It have no reason for this engine of with this low mileage to have all this slush. I mean, come on, this is lack of maintenance, right? They're not changing the oil on time. Matter of fact, not even changing the oil. It looks like just driving, and it's going to be a costly overhaul. We're going to rebuild this engine, scrap it straight down, change head gasket, valve seals, rings, you name it. The only thing I might touch is the bearings because I mean, we don't have no. I'm gonna do my checks first, but as I said, we don't have no bearing issue. So I'm just gonna just clean up all these parts and put up. I'm shocked this vehicle was still running. Look at the cam sensor, look at the crank sensor. It's full of slush, and actually, I spoke to the client. I said, when the last time we changed your oil? I mean, come on. They changed the oil, but they didn't do their checks. Not the client. I'm talking about whoever was servicing this vehicle or whatever. They went and changed the oil and changed the coolant, but come on, open the cover. I mean, drop the pan, diagnose the vehicle properly. I'm not sure what, man. This is crazy. This thing coming out like cake, man. I don't even want this on my floor, So
I'm just gonna put a cardboard box under the engine so there's no form of flow, man. This is full of slush. Like I said, man, I'm shocked this vehicle was able to drive. No wonder these things is just dumping oil. Right, so I'm gonna finish clean this up and take it to the machine shop so they can add their touch to it, where they're gonna shave the head and the block, right? And I'm gonna then take off the valve stems, the valve seals, sorry, and I'm gonna finish rebuild this engine and tell the client, well, ready to go.
Right, so what we're doing here is changing out this is the valve seals here. They're very hard, and basically that is why the vehicle was smoking. Right, these are the valves, intake and the exhaust. The exhaust is the smaller ones, the intake is the bigger ones. Those are the valve springs. The locks, we have them somewhere. Right, yeah. As I said, so you see how hard that is, because why? Lack of maintenance. You have to be using a special tool, and it's still very hard, right? So that shows you that the seals is in there real good. Meaning they're so hard that they kind of fuse onto the metal and causing the oil to pass, right? Let me see if I can get one. Yep. Sorry, I got that on camera. Yeah, so yeah, so we're gonna replace all these, put on some fresh ones, put them in the pack, and change the head gasket, and yeah, we should be good to go. Let me just put this here. There, we're gonna start this vehicle up and hear our song, right? So as I said, this is a CY Lancer. Customer complained that he's seeing excessive smoke and water coming out the exhaust, and also they was losing power, right? So come find out, we had to rebuild the engine. Right, so this vehicle has been parked up for a while we locate the parts. I'm just gonna wind on the glass, cycle on the key a little bit, and put this back in park. Right, AC is off. Just gonna cycle the key a little bit to make sure that the fuel come up to the engine. Crank it so I can build compression a little bit. Ain't leaks, so that fuel didn't go on properly. So let me just fix that real quick and then turn the camera back on. Alright, so I'll fix the fuel line. Just had a little minor setback real quick. Let me just crank the vehicle over. Make sure that fuel comes up. Cycle the key off and on. Give it a crank. Alright, so that's just to build the oil pressure. As I said, replace the piston, the thermostat, the guides. The only thing I didn't change was the timing chain. And so we just then work yourself in on top of the coolant. Not too bad. So what we did was we shaved the head and the block, replaced the guides, the valve cover seal, the valve seals, and also the board of basically a full kit, right? So that, don't worry about that little smoke, that's just the exhaust, a little minor oil that touched the exhaust, had to burn on. Let's get some coolant to top this up. Alright, so we was able to change out the valve seals and rebuild this engine. Yes, I want to thank everybody for continuously supporting the channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, criticism. So until next time, take it easy.